Shalom, family. It's good to see everyone here. We're going to talk about somebody that really brought on their own arrest, as far as I'm concerned. This dude, can you imagine if he would have just kept himself off of social media? ICE probably would never have caught up to him. You know, I was reading that most of the ones like Leonel Moreno that escape from ICE, that quite a few of them do escape from ICE, and they are never caught. They said the majority of them are never ever caught once they escape ICE. And they're probably not caught because, number one, they said one thing about these illegals, what they do is they cut those ankle monitors off. They don't care. Even the ones they put on them when they commit crimes in this country, they said they cut them right off. They can never keep track of them because they refuse to keep the monitoring device on. They won't do it. So a lot of times they'll escape. And if they got any type of monitor device on, they just cut it off along the way and they can never track them. So he got away, and they said they literally did not know where Moreno was for since 2022. They had no idea once he left where he was. But then when he started getting on TikTok and his channel, you know, his TikTok exploded. He had over a 500,000 people out there, and folks started getting pissed off because he was literally on the video telling them how to come here and commit crimes. That's what he was doing. And, you know, and then, of course, TikTok, after people complained when he started getting into squatting and telling them to look for vacant homes and start squatting, and folks started reporting him. And he also got reported to ICE. That's how he got caught. Really, it's the people that help get Moreno apprehended. It was not ICE themselves or even TikTok. TikTok left him alone until folks started complaining. And then they came back with this, oh, you know, if you're on videos telling people how to commit crimes and all that mess, they weren't concerned about that until somebody said something. So he is officially apprehended. I believe they caught him on Friday. And, well, it looked like his free money days in America is coming to an end. Now, I don't know if they took everything he had in the house he was squatting in, but I think he ran from that house. Now, don't know what happened to his wife and daughter. Now, his daughter was born in America. She was born here. So I don't know if it was just him deported, because it looked like his wife was like a partner in crime there herself, from what he was saying on the videos. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. This dude was a trip. So, illegal migrant who went TikTok viral, urging others to squat in people's homes, arrested by ICE. So they said he illegally entered the US. This is when he escaped from ICE after being in a detention center. It was in April of 2022. Venezuelan illegal immigrant influencer who went viral on TikTok videos urging other migrants to squat in people's homes has been arrested by immigration and customs enforcement officials. Leonel Moreno was arrested by ICE Detroit field office and is in federal custody. An ICE official told Fox News Friday he was caught by the agency's fugitive op team in Gahanna, Ohio on Friday. ICE later confirmed in a statement that he was arrested and is detained pending further immigration proceedings. Moreno had illegally entered the U.S. April 23rd, 2022, ICE confirmed to Fox Digital, and said he was placed into Alternatives to Detention, which was a program by Border Patrol, but had absconded from the program after failing to report to an ICE office within 60 days of arriving to his destination. So this dude is a trip. So he was literally a fugitive all this time. Moreno had previously claimed his family was receiving $350 a week in government handouts and that he was making over $1,000 a day as a TikTok influencer, but he was actually out on the streets panhandling. That's where he got the cash money. You don't get cash money from TikTok. He was getting that from panhandling. His account, which has had over a half a million followers, had gone inactive a week earlier, but his presence was still on Instagram. Moreno previously told his audience that he plans to make a business out of invading um, abandoned houses and taking them over with squatter rights. So he knew the laws. He knew the squatter rights laws. And, and after learning the laws, he started squatting, then selling them for a profit. Now, there was recently, this is an unrelated situation. These folks, they start squatting in a home, and the home belonged to a woman, but she was living in another state. Well, they took her belongings in the house and had a yard sale. They sold all of her furnishings and everything. This is what these squatters did. So, I guess there was not much she could do, but yeah, they sold all of her furniture and everything she had in that house. So, let me go on with this. So he said that some of his African friends had told him they were already in several homes in the US that they took over. I have thought about invading a house in the United States, he said in a TikTok video. I found out there is a law that says if a house is uninhabited, we can seize it. He had also mocked people who work for a living. Yes, he said work is for slaves. That's what he said. That's for slaves. You're hurt because I make more money without much work while you work like slaves. Understand? I mean, he got a lot of mouth, don't he? That's the difference between you and me. I always go to make a lot of money without much work. And you're always going to be exploited and miserable and insignificant. The US is the third. Um, they said this crisis is so bad that the number of migrants coming across the border, they said this is the third year in a row of them having a historical number of migrants coming across the border, which has included a significant number of arrivals from Venezuela. And they got a big explosion from people coming out of Venezuela. Venezuelans are difficult to deport to their home country. However, since the socialist government is not allowing after having started accepting deportation flights directly from the US late last year. Yes, well, their president came right out and said he ain't letting those flights even land in Venezuela. He's not taking anybody back, which, is very plain and clear that he emptied out his jails. He don't want these criminals back in his country. So they said so far in the fiscal year of 2023, only 834 Venezuelans actually got deported, according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, despite there being over 335,000 encounters at the borders. So they've had 335,000 problems with these Venezuelans, and out of that amount, only 834 of them were deported. So no matter how many problems they have out of these people, the vast majority of them make it in here. So Venezuelans can still be removed to Mexico. You notice they said Mexico, not Venezuela. So if Venezuelans get deported, they throw them into Mexico because their own president won't take them back. So they get deported and removed to Mexico. But officials have told Fox that many of them just re enter the US. as gotaways. In other words, they escape out of Mexico after being deported there and they enter the US again. They said that's what the vast majority of them do, that escape from whatever detention they're in Mexico, and they just re-entered the country. And they call them gotaways. Y'all, listen, Moreno's coming back. He's coming back in the US. You watch. You may not hear about. He may be a little wiser when he comes back. This dude ain't going back to Venezuela and he ain't going to stay in Mexico because he ain't going to get no money there. He ain't going to get the money that he got in the United States sitting in Mexico. He going to bring his butt right back over that border to the United States. Now, he may not end up in Ohio. He may end up somewhere else, but his butt's coming back in here. They always do. They always do. And they themselves will tell you, oh, I was watching when all that stuff was going down in LA with them pushing the black people out of their homes and these illegals were taking over. Well, some of them said they were deported 5 and 6 times and they just kept right on coming back. They didn't care. They didn't care about being deported. A couple of them say it was okay to be deported. They got to visit their family. It was like taking a vacation and going home and visiting their families. And then they just make the trip again. They don't care. They'll make that trip thousands of miles from where they live into the US. They don't care. So Moreno's coming back, y'all. It don't matter what ICE do to him. He's coming back. America don't have any good policies in place to keep these people from coming back. So there you have it. Well, he's out of Ohio at least. I mean, it didn't say he was deported. He's being detained somewhere here in the US. But it does not say anything about him, being placed on a plane and flown out of here. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, being deported don't bother them at all. That's what I'm trying to say. You're right. I mean, being deported don't bother them. So I know a lot of our people be screaming for these people but really at the end of the day, if they entered the country once illegally, they can do it multiple times illegally. I mean, this has been going on for many years. I met a couple of these folks that came across the border. I met a couple of them, just from jobs I've been on. We had like janitorial work, and it would be these illegals. And a couple of them I spoke to. I know one of them came out of Ecuador, and they were in the country for over 10 years, and they were part of the cleanup crew, after hours in the building. And I would see them because, I was a senior manager. So it was not unusual for me to be there sometimes late doing work. And I had the group that I managed work 24/7. So there were times when I would have to meet with my second shift. So I would stay sometimes until like 7 o'clock at night before I would go home because I would have to give job evaluations. People wanted to take time off and they wanted to meet with me, or people were having issues and they needed to see me. So I was there all day with my first shift. And then twice a week, I would be there for my second shift. And then my third shift, I would just go in extra early. I would just go in like 5 in the morning. I would leave and go to work. So, and they wouldn't get off until 7. So if they needed to see me, I would meet with them to see them. I had to do that. I had 24/7 people. So being that I had to manage different shifts, so we had a crew of people, and I believe they were illegal because I would just see them all about the building, emptying out trash cans and cleaning up. So they are everywhere, and you're going to see them even more now that they're kicking Americans out of their jobs and replacing them with these illegals. I mean, we're hearing about this, and this thing is going to explode across the country because they are cheap labor, and that's all this country is about is slavery. America is about slavery, and they're going to always be about that. Whatever the cheapest amount they can pay, they want you to do backbreaking work for some cheap amount of dollars. And that's always been the expectation in America. So yeah, they're going to grab these people up because they don't have to pay them much. Okay, Frank Thomas, thank you for becoming a new member. James Mitchell, thank you for the super sticker. John L. What's the old saying? Pride comes before the fall. Amen. Yes, it is. And Liquid J Funk, thank you for the super chat. He's in custody for free board and lodging for now. Venezuela should now be crime free. Yeah, because he's here in America. Yeah, you got that right. You know, y'all, I haven't met many people from Venezuela, but just from what I heard, just other people in interviews, they said they are very nasty people. They said they're very impatient. They got attitude problems. They are just very unruly, you know? And it might be that way because they are a lot of the criminal class. Maybe the ones that aren't like that would be a little different. But I think it's very obvious that the president there just they just emptied out those prisoners and just let them go. And what we're getting are the criminals and the gang members and stuff from Venezuela. Entitled to Anon. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's not many of them. I have not come across many of them where I am. Mhm. Okay. Primo 1973, you said, I just left Burlington Coat Factory. I had to get out of there because I was the only black guy in the store. Everybody else was Mexicans. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to see that a lot. You're going to see that a lot. See, people thought they saw that in certain industries. You're about to see that in industries across the board now. They are tired of paying these high American wages. They don't want to pay that. And you know what the problem is? The problem is them folks always overpaid their own people. See, as long as it's someone that look like them, they get overpaid. And then they always tried to get by with underpaying the black men and women out here working. We get underpaid, they get overpaid. And it is such a big imbalance in these jobs across the board. And it's very inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the way they give pay in this country, just in this country. One thing, when I was a senior manager, I made sure the black people in my group got the same salaries. I had to fight for some people, but I was able to make sure they didn't get paid a less salary than a white worker in my group. I made sure they got the same salary. I had to fight for it in some instances, but I made sure they got it. I made sure they got it. Now, there were many other managers that didn't give a crap. They knew they were underpaying their black employees and didn't give a crap, and they never fought for anything either. They let it stay just as it is. And I think if America would have been consistent with the salaries. If you got this position, it don't matter what your race is, this is the salary. If you get in this position, it don't matter what you look like, this is the salary. If they would have done that across the board, I think financially America would have been in a better place. But no, they could not do that. They had to factor in race in every single job and every single income and every single promotion. They had to filter race into it, and they to the point where they just mess things up. It is messed up out here when it comes down to income, and it's because of racism. That's why it's messed up. And trust me, I know this firsthand. I set salaries being a senior manager. When I interviewed people and brought them in, I determined what their salary was going to be. So I know how that whole system works. I know how it works. That when I came in the door, I had a Black woman. She was in the group for, I think, like 12 years. Do you know she was getting less money than all of the white employees doing the same job? And she was there for 12 years. Oh, no, I made them change that. I made them change it and give her the same salary. I remember when I left, she cried. It was so we had such a good relationship. When I left, she came in my office and cried that I was leaving and thanked me for what I did. She was like, in my whole life, I've been working out here for many years. She said, nobody ever tried to make sure I had a fair salary. You were the first person to do that. So, y'all, Moreno, unfortunately, if he would have just kept his mouth shut, he would be sitting in America to this day. Even if he was committing crimes, as long as he was being quiet about it, he would have got away with everything. Easy. Charjay, thank you for the super chat. They're just making up for the salary increase after shut in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no justifiable reason for, if let's say you're doing a job, because I was in IT, let's say you're doing a technical support job. There is no reason for you as a Black person to do a technical support job and you're getting paid five to $10,000 less than someone white doing the same job. That doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not like these companies don't have the money. They got the money. They got the money, but they just don't care about being fair. They don't care. So that's all I have for today. Those of you that are going to be in Bible study, I will see you later. I got the video, I got everything posted. I just got to make it public. So you will see that. So, everybody, thank you for being here, and be on the lookout for my videos. And I have a couple of live streams coming up tomorrow as well. Shalom, family.